Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, some days you go to work and you just don't know what's going to happen, right? Because you're there and you think you're going to do your job. It's going to be another normal work day. And then they call you into HR or someplace like that. And they say, well, sometimes they don't say, I'm sorry. I was about to say, I'm so sorry. Most of the time they just say, you're laid off, or we no longer need your services, or some euphemism for sorry, your job is gone. That happened to today's guest, and God intervened in such a powerful way, frankly, because he allowed him to, and transformed today's guest's life in an incredible, mind-blowing way. So Faith Positive Nation gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce to you today Chris Parker. Chris is the owner of whatismyipaddress.com. Whatismyipaddress.com. Now, the odds are you've used that site somewhere along the way, because he gets over 6 million, that's with an M, 6 million unique visitors every single month, which is incredible if you know anything about web traffic at all. So basically, God did a zero to hero story with today's Chris Parker. So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome today's hero, Chris Parker. Chris, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, man.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So you go in 2014, right? This is 2018 when we're doing this.
Yep.
4 short years ago, you go in to, what kind of company were you working for?
I was an online life insurance broker.
Okay. So you're doing your thing. You walk in. Did you have any warning at all?
Yeah, we know definitely with the financial crisis, it impacted a lot of businesses. And unfortunately, theirs was one of them. And they've been struggling for a while, so it wasn't entirely out of the blue.
Yeah, but you didn't know it was going to be that day, though, did you?
That's correct.
Yeah, so you walk in and they deliver those fateful words.
Yep, sorry, we can't afford to keep you on. We're going to have to let you go.
So what was your immediate reaction to, we're going to have to let you go?
I think part of it, because it wasn't a surprise, I wasn't totally alarmed, but it's never what you want to hear. Even if you see the writing on the wall and it's okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to make ends meet?
Yeah. You got a wife and a miniature schnauzer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a family to take care of, and I got bills, and I can't afford to go without working for, 10 years. I'm not independently wealthy and fortunate in that way. But I got to start doing something more effectively than I'm currently doing it.
Now tell Faith Positive Nation what God had begun doing in your life, about 14 years prior?
Yeah, about 14 years prior. Started the website as an absolute hobby, just almost as a fluke. And
a fluke.
As a fluke. It was just a side thing that I was, this would be a convenient thing to do. This would be helpful for people out there. And
so how'd you come up with the name whatismyipaddress.com?
It was the question that I was typing into the search engine at the time. And I didn't get an answer.
You didn't get an answer. So you said to yourself, wonder if anybody else is asking this question.
Exactly. I forgot. Someone else has got to be asking this question, and I know how to answer it. So let me just throw together a little website and run it out of my house. And that's how it started.
So I'm sure you just immediately went to 6 million hits a month, right?
No. Honestly, for the longest time, I didn't even look at the traffic. It was never monetized. There were no ads on it. It was just, hey, let's just put this thing together and let it go. And at some point, my logs files got huge, and I looked at it and went, oh my goodness, there's an opportunity here.
People are actually using this.
People are using this website. This is amazing. And so I started
an entrepreneur, right?
It absolutely is what it came out to be. And so I started to put a few ads on the site and make a little bit of money here and there. And it was like, hey, this is a little traveling money, a little vacation money for my wife and I, and a little spending time. And over the years, I started to put more and more effort into it, started to write content for it. but it was at the time that, things started going bad in the economy. It wasn't enough to supplant my daily income by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that transition happened, it was my wife and I sat down, we talked and said, hey, honey, do you think I should try this full time? And so we thought about it and said, okay, let's give it a year. There's some income coming in, so we're not going to be out in the street right away. Let's give it a year, see if God allows this to happen. If he does, we'll do it. If not, it's back to finding an office job, doing work for somebody else. Over the course. Yeah, typical.
Yeah, really.
Which is not a bad thing. I've been in an office many, many years, and
it's
not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. So when you made this decision, and I love the way you said, let's see what God does with it. Let's see what God allows to happen. So how was your faith engaged in this decision? Because that's a pretty big deal, not to immediately rush right back out to Cubicle Nation, but instead to say, hey, we've had this. Maybe God's prepared for this moment. Maybe he knew it was coming 14 years ago. What was that like for you in terms of your faith journey?
I mean, it was definitely part of that decision was a lot of prayer and between my wife and I going out, walking the dog and praying every night, praying in the morning, and getting input from men in my life that I trusted and who weren't just just jump in, just make rash decisions. But people would say, what have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Well, okay, what if it doesn't start doing well? How are you going to transition? How are you going to explain being out of work for 6 months, 9 months, a year? Right. Go apply for a job.
So you had some trusted advisors that you really leaned on to help you.
Absolutely. I mean, Proverbs 27:17 is as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Right. And I know that it's important for me even today to still have people involved in my life to make sure I'm making, the right decisions, that I'm making faithful decisions, that I'm thinking about, well, is this how God wants me to move forward in my business?
So you started full time in this in 2014, seeking trusted advisors because iron sharpens iron and a good friend helps a good friend to grow, right?
Yeah.
So did I just hear you say that you continue today with an accountability group of some type?
Absolutely. There's a group of older men that I try to get with every Tuesday morning at a local restaurant for breakfast. And it's great because most of these guys are about 20 years older than me. And I know there's a tremendous amount of life experience. A couple of these guys have owned their own businesses. There's business experience. But it's a great time talking about the challenges that we have in our faith, the challenges that we have in our marriages, in our life. And then there's another guy that I know. He's about 10 years younger than me, and he and I get together at his coffee shop and have the same conversations. So it's not just that I'm looking to get fed by other people, but I'm really trying to take what I've learned and help pass it on to somebody else as well.
Which only causes it to grow more intentionally within you.
Absolutely.
As you love God and others more. So what are some of the benefits of being in this group? I mean, it's obvious the benefit of, well, if I'm going to try this thing, I need some wisdom from some other guys. But 4 years later, you're getting 6 million hits a month. Most of us would regard that as successful, right? So what is the benefit to you at this pinnacle of success to continue to be in this accountability group?
Well, I think it's still even talking about the challenges that I face on the day-to-day. Do you think this is a reasonable company for me to work with? How much risk should I be willing to take on things? And part of it is it's just life continues. It's not like just because you have success in business doesn't mean you don't get in a disagreement with your spouse or.
What? You have a disagreement with your spouse?
That would never happen. It's not like we don't have bad days. We need those people, whether it's a good day or it's a bad day. And I think as the business has grown, there's new challenges personally. And that I look like, okay, the company's done well. There's more money in my bank account than there's ever been before. I need to make sure I'm not being greedy about it. How do I deal with my finances? How do I make sure that I'm not being selfish with what I have? I think that's where it's important having people that know you, know your character, and know how you make decisions to say, hey, yeah, you're being selfish here. You're looking at your neighbor and you're looking at their BMW and you're wanting a BMW. Is that really what you should be doing with your money? It's good to have people that ask you that.
Right. Yeah. To hold you accountable for that, particularly around motives, which is what I just heard you saying.
Yeah.
By the way, BMW is making nothing off of this podcast. It's just
not for me either.
Because we could say Mercedes just as easily, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And no Mercedes or BMWs were injured in the creation of this podcast.
Absolutely.
So what I hear you saying is, regardless of which stage of business you're in as a business owner, there are challenges, and success brings a different set of challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you just mentioned something that's really, really critical. We've had people like Ron Blue on, and recently had Scott Allen Turner on our show here. And how do you deal with money is such a, boy, that's a tough topic for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
We just, even Christians, we don't want to talk about that. Don't ask me if I tithe, What I just heard you talking about was a sense of stewardship, financial stewardship, that's rooted in an understanding of God's blessing to you.
Yep.
So tell me more about that. Where'd that come from?
It actually comes from what has become one of my favorite scriptures over the last couple of months, last couple of years. And it's kind of my favorite because it really challenges me, not because it doesn't necessarily inspire me and make me feel good, but it really challenges the way that I think. And that's the second part of Luke 12:48. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. And for the one who has been entrusted with much, much, much more will be asked. And it really makes me question, okay, God has given me not just financial resources, but the business experiences and the life experiences. How intentional am I being in the way that I administer these resources?
How intentional am I being and how I administer these resources? Two key words for me were intentional and administer. Talk about the intentionality of what you're doing with your stewardship.
I think part of it is making choices in deciding, okay, I'm going to do this year. My wife and I at the beginning of the year look and say, okay, we're going to, above and beyond what we give to our local church, we're going to give to some particular cause or some particular need this year. And we're going to do it in increments throughout the year. So it's not just set it and forget it and move on, but it's something that we have to continue to think about, to continue to plan for, and continue to do. And so it's not just, oh, hey, that feels good, let's do that, but let's really commit to doing something and let God move in that action.
So you guys pray about to whom to give.
Yep.
You come together, have a family meeting, right?
Yep,
Does Bailey, the miniature schnauzer, get to participate in those meetings?
He actually did get to participate in one.
Sad in your lap, right? But doesn't Bailey always want to give to the SPCA? I mean, what is that all about? So you guys have a family meeting and following your prayer time, and you ask God to whom you're to give that extra above the tithe to your church.
Yep, exactly.
Wow. Now, is that a new practice for you guys?
I think it's something that we've developed over the last couple of years. We used to, our church does a lot of like youth camps and things like that. And we would help sponsor some of the kids to go to that. And, one year, as part of our special missions, they were talking about a program in Central and South America that would teach English to in local communities, knowing that as people learned English, it allowed them to get better jobs, support their family, support their local church, and have a greater impact in their community. We thought, wow, for that amount of money that we were giving to help a kid go to camp, which is a great thing.
Sure. There's
people that their lives, their whole families can be impacted significantly beyond that. And I know that, here in Orange County, you can do a fundraiser and raise that $100, but in Central and South America, covering the cost of books and classes, it's a lot more difficult.
Absolutely. So that really drew your hearts towards that. And it was a global need. It wasn't just
absolutely.
Our own backyards are really important. That's Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the othermost parts of the world. I got that. But man, that was reaching out for you guys. So you were intentional about it. You prayed. Your hearts were prompted to give intentionally in that way. And the other is that you said you intentionally administer your stewardship resources. What do you mean by administer?
I think part of it is making sure that what we're doing has value. What I was talking about in the comparison between giving to help a kid go to a camp versus being able to help somebody support their family more effectively. And not just being flippant about where we give our money and just throwing it, but to say, well, what does this program really do? How's it really impacting people's lives? Is it a good use of the money? At times it could be, there's natural disasters. People have more pressing needs. It's learning English is not important when you need food and water. And so I think at different times there's different pressing needs.
Yeah. Well, there in California, you guys have had wildfires and mudslides. So, I mean, you talk about a pressing need.
Absolutely.
When your home's gone or, by fire or it's hidden under mud. Yeah, there's an opportunity to give immediately. Well, what I'm hearing you say then is that success brings a challenge of additional financial resources.
Yep.
And so you and your wife, your business partner, if you will, have intentionally set out to administer these gifts that God's blessed you with in response to your understanding of that passage from Luke, and to whom much is given, much is required. So you're quite intentional about being a good steward. What other challenges have you discovered as you've reached what many would consider the pinnacle of success for somebody with a website?
I think one of the particular challenges for people who work from home is that we have a tendency to be disconnected from people. When you're in an office, you have a lot of interaction. There's a lot of opportunity to share your faith, to interact with people, to be encouraged, and to encourage other people. And when you're like me and you work from home, it can be very easy to isolate yourself, if that's your character, which it is mine, I'll just stay in my nice, cozy little office and do my thing and not interact with people. But I've got to make decisions to get out, be involved in people's lives, and to be active in that way and not let these things, which could be a benefit of being home and working by yourself. It's a benefit, but it also can be a hindrance as well. And being able to realize that there are those types of challenges with success.
So did you anticipate the potential of isolation when you said, I want an office at home?
That's absolutely something that we talked about and prayed about when we made that decision. Because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go stir crazy sitting at home. And part of it was, I don't know if I can be effective working at home. I don't know if I'm going to get distracted, want to turn on the TV and watch TV and not work at all, or whatever else the case might be.
Eat cookies all day. Right?
Exactly.
Not that I have ever experienced that particular challenge of working.
I have never experienced it.
What's your favorite cookie? No, don't answer.
Chocolate chip.
Okay, I'm an oatmeal raisin guy. We should get together. We'll ship cookies across country to each other. How about that? Now, does Bailey get treats too?
Yes, he does. He gets his dog treats after his morning walk.
That's great. That is great. So one of the challenges is you feared you would isolate yourself. Are you naturally introverted or naturally extroverted in terms of your desire to be with other people?
I'm very naturally introverted. It takes effort for me to engage with people. It takes a conscious decision for me to go out of my way to interact with people that I wouldn't normally interact with.
Well, thank you very much for speaking with Faith Positive Nation today. I hope we didn't interrupt your reverie. And about a third of the population's that way. So even when you're in an office setting, it's a bit of a push for you to be with other folks. So how have you, as an introvert, recognized the need to have other people in your life, to proactively socially invest yourself with other people? How do you address that as working from home? Because again, we're talking about stewardship, aren't we? It's a stewardship of a people resource this time.
I think part of it is over the course of my Christianity and having people involved in my life who see me and saying, hey, Chris, you're being into yourself. You're sitting in the corner. You're being a wallflower. You need to engage with people. That's part of, the course of my Christianity. It's a reoccurring theme that I need to continue to work on that and to grow in that area, and calling people, texting people, sometimes it's part of that being intentional of like, okay, I got to make sure I text somebody today. I haven't interacted with anyone today. I need to. And I know it's for me in my heart to do things like that.
So what's the benefit to you as an introvert? I mean, that's the way God designed you, is as an introvert. About 30% of the population is as well in the U.S., right? So what's the benefit to you of reaching out? How does God bless you for reaching out to folks?
I think it blesses me in a wealth of friends and people that I otherwise wouldn't have ever met, wouldn't have had any other interaction with. I believe it's important for us as Christians to be able to share our faith, for people to be able to see our lives. If we're isolated in our office and no one can see us living out our Christianity and see how we deal with our challenges, how can we possibly have impact on them?
So it's putting a bushel over the light.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, so you want to let your light shine. Well, I know you talked about Tuesdays, I think it is. You go out and you meet with these guys, your accountability group. Then you have your one-to-one time with the guys a little bit younger than you. You do that as well. Are there other prescribed activities in which you seek to get out of the home office and go out and interact with others so your light will shine?
We have a Bible study group that my wife and I participate in. We have a church that we are actively involved in, and we've tried to serve within our church for a number of years. We are involved in the singles ministry even after we were married, and going on double dates with the singles and inviting them over for dinner and just being active instead of being at home doing nothing.
Home doing nothing. Well, for you, that's a sweet spot, right? Because you enjoy yourself in those private conversations, don't you?
That I do, but it doesn't mean that's what I should be doing all the time.
Yeah, so sometimes the only intelligent conversation you have is with yourself all day.
Absolutely.
Right? I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, man, I love the way that you understand that's a growth edge for yourself as a business person. That's why I ask about the benefit. It's not that Chris Parker's out there trying to network and drive more business to his website or anything. Man, you feel called by Christ to be out there letting your light shine. So you
absolutely
place yourself in situations where you may not be naturally comfortable, but you seek to be a light unto the darkness. Man, that's a beautiful thing. I love that. So what other challenges are you facing in your business right now? I mean, when I go to whatismyipaddress.com, I probably won't see any of those challenges, but you're the man behind this massively successful site. What are some other challenges?
I think part of it is not resting on my laurels, not just, hey, it's built, let me walk away from it. But as with everything these days on the internet, if you're not continuing to make your site better, add more content, make the content better, if you're not swimming upstream, you're going downstream. And so it's a constant fight to make sure that me and my team are producing quality content and looking for ways that we can help people, that we can simplify concepts and communicate technical things in non-technical ways.
Oh, may your tribe increase. Communicate technical things in non-technical ways. All right. I call it geek speak. I mean,
absolutely.
Just my eyes glaze over.
And that's what we're trying to prevent with what we write on the site.
Right. So when I go to whatismyipaddress.com, what kind of content am I going to see?
So we initially started with, here's your IP address.
Okay.
Great. You've given me a number. That's not particularly useful unless you're looking for it.
192.45. Right. So what?
And so over the years, added the ability to look up other IP addresses. People who run websites want to know who's visiting their website. Okay. People that run forums and blogs want to know, well, who's commenting. Is this the same person with 16 different accounts?
Same jerk, right?
Same jerk being a troll and just trying to stir up problems. A lot of people, unfortunately, become victims of like romance scams. And so hopefully before that, if they start having questions like this person seems a little shifty or story seems a little funny, maybe I could figure out where this person really is from the information in their email, technical stuff that we try to simplify for people. And that's led into building a lot of content for teaching people how to be safe online, how to not get into these romance scams, how not to be a victim of, that Nigerian prince really doesn't have $10 million in a lockbox for you.
You mean he emailed you too?
He emailed me too, but I guess since I didn't want it, he went to you also.
I check my bank account every day. I just know the money's going to show up.
But it's unfortunate that
I
a
know.
lot of people fall victim to these scams. And so I think part of it is education.
Sure, because we don't know what we don't know.
And that's the challenges.
Yeah.
Is that.
So really what you're talking about is personal safety and security while out on the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is a very timely topic in addition to cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
So who's trying to break in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are some of the more common questions that you get from people who come to your site and topics they want you to address?
A lot of people are coming there trying to figure out, like I said, who is this person that I'm talking with? And usually once you ask them, well, what's the story? Why are you suspicious? It usually comes out, well, it's a military guy that I met on a Christian dating site. And after 2 emails, he told me he loved me and he wants to marry me. I think that's kind of odd.
Man, I'd like to read those first 2 emails. It's really been
Exactly.
something, you know. I've written a few, but to my wife, but nothing like that. It took me months to convince her to marry me.
Same here.
Oh,
And then
wow.
we get lots of questions from people who they think their computer's been hacked, and there are some good signs that it has. We try to give them here's some things that you can do to rectify that, and
Mm.
here's some things that you shouldn't do going forward.
Okay.
That you can
What's
prevent
one
people from
thing
getting in.
that Faith Positive Nation should not do going forward to
Ah,
protect themselves?
Things that people should not do is never use a default password. So
Okay.
if you buy a new piece of hardware and the login is admin,
Yeah.
you need to change it right away.
Okay. All right. You got that Faith Positive Nation. You plug something in, you change the password, right?
And probably the second thing is use a password manager. You should never use the same password anywhere.
Over and over and over. Okay.
Over and over and over, because Yahoo's been breached. Assume that every company, every organization that you do business with, that you've given them an email and a password, that's going to get compromised. And if you use that same email and password for your bank account, you could lose your life savings overnight and really not be able to do anything about it.
Wow. Is there a particular password manager you recommend, Chris?
There's a lot of good ones out there. 1Password, LastPass, a bunch of free ones, a bunch of ones that are, $5, $10 a year. Allow you to use multiple devices. That way you don't have to be running back to your home computer to remember what your password was.
So I want to be able to access it in several places.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. So these people you hear from come to you with problems. And I know you want to be a light unto the world. And this is darkness we're talking about here. Your computer's hacked. Somebody stole your password. They're ripping off your bank account, what have you. How do you find it? Well, let me ask you this way. What's one thing that you do to be the light of Christ in this dark world of cybersecurity and online security?
I really try to be compassionate with people. You go on social media these days and someone says something bad happens and 20 people say, well, you should have known better. That doesn't help them.
That just makes me feel immensely better. Thank you so much for being nice to me today.
Thanks. I didn't know I made a mistake.
So what you try to do is say, hey, it's okay. It happens to everybody. Going forward, do this.
Exactly. Let's see what we can do to help you resolve the problem. And here's what you should do going forward so it doesn't happen again to you.
Wow. So really non-judgmental, right?
Try very hard to not judge people when they come with problems.
Didn't I read that somewhere? Like, judge not, lest you get judged. Didn't I read that somewhere?
I think I've read that as well.
Same book, right? Well, man, I love that you are out there incarnating Christ in a world in which people are coming to you with problems, big problems. I mean, that's a big deal. These problems. And they're looking to you for advice and how to deal with these things. And just knowing that you're out there being Christ in the world with one of the world's most popular websites.
Thank you.
That blesses me, Chris. And I know it blesses all of Faith Positive Nation. So behind all of this, Chris Parker, there's got to be at least one Bible verse that drives you. And you may have already shared it. I don't know. just playing a hunch there. What's that Bible verse that drives you, man?
I think the one that's been on my heart recently is the Luke 12:48, and that because I've been given a lot, I think God has a lot of expectations from me, and I need to make sure that I don't take God's resources lightly, and make sure that I'm a good steward of what I've been given.
Yeah, intentionally administering it. So
Absolutely.
we have learned today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the website is whatismyipaddress.com, and email address is
Chris at whatismyipaddress.com.
okay. And you were mentioning before we came on that you have something for Faith Positive Nation that you want to share with them, because I'm sure there's been many questions raised about security, online security, and things like that as we chatted today. So
Yeah,
thanks
I've
for
got
being so generous, by the way.
You're very welcome. I've got a free downloadable ebook from our website about online privacy, online safety, how to keep your family safe online. It's available from whatismyipaddress.com/faith.
Okay. Whatismyipaddress.com/faith. And you mentioned how to keep my family safe as well. Is there something in this free ebook about parental controls for children, things like that?
No, but I think it's practices that you need to teach your family as well. Don't just send your kids out into the world using the same password everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So they're actually lessons that you can teach your children for how to be safe.
Yes.
Okay. Man, that is awesome. And so generous of you. And you said this is free, right?
It's absolutely free.
Wow, man, I am struck by your generosity and blessed by it. Thank you so much. Chris Parker, owner of whatismyipaddress.com. He has over 6 million clickety-click clicks every single month on his website. So you be sure and go there to whatismyipaddress.com/faith so that you can get this free ebook that Chris has prepared, help you be safe and secure online. Chris, thanks so much. I pray God's blessings on you, your incredible wife, Bailey, who has been so quiet during this interview today. Is he asleep or what?
He's busy there licking his paws.
Oh, okay. You gave him a treat before we came on. Well, we just pray God's blessings on you and everything that you touch and all the people whose lives you help improve. Thank you so much for your time today, Chris.
Thank you so much for your time as well. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.